The story for Splinter Cell Blacklist follows Sam Fisher once again, for the 6th time to be exact, as he follows the trail of a brand new terrorist threat called the Blacklist, who are targeting different parts of America until they get what they want. Sam and his cooperatives have to find out who is leading the Blacklist, where their next target is going to be, and how to stop them before it's too late. The story is actually very enjoyable because of its believable characters, great writing, and well-paced narrative. What I like about the story the most is that they make this kinda typical sounding terrorist group feel very threatening right from the beginning. I wanted Sam to find them before they caused any more problems. Now, talking about Sam Fisher is as rough, gruff, and badass as ever, even if they exchanged Michael Ironside with someone else. Overall, really good story that always entertains. Now let's talk about the sound. Like I said, they did replace Michael Ironside with another voice actor named Eric Johnson. Luckily, he does a terrific job with the older, grittier Sam Fisher. His performance is just as good as Ironside's, which is impressive seeing that Ironside had 5 games to work with this character, and of course Eric Johnson only had 1. The rest of the voice acting is great as well and adds believability to their characters. The sound design has its fair share of gunfire and explosions, which sound great, but the quieter moments when you're sneaking around dispatching enemies sounds fantastic. Just hearing little environmental sound effects and just people talking from a distance, it just sounds really good. It gets you immersed into the experience. Especially since you can use the sounds that enemies make to locate where they are and take them out. So the sound is actually a part of the gameplay. Now there is a soundtrack, but the thing is that I don't remember anything about it. It was completely forgettable. So overall, I think the sound is great with the exception of the soundtrack. The graphics for Blacklist, while very dark at times, can look really gorgeous. A lot of the time you'll be in the shadows stalking your enemies, and while you can't see much, the lighting effects are spectacular, and the goggles' different visions can make the environment look pretty good. The animations are very solid for Sam, especially when he is running and climbing, but a lot of the enemies do repeat the same ones over and over again. When the game brightens up, the scenery can look very beautiful and can even offer some really nice looking vistas. The texturing was fantastic and I didn't see too many muddy ones or ones that wouldn't load. During the cutscenes, the character models of all the main characters are really well detailed and can look very realistic facial animation wise. There is times where the eyes can look a little dead and maybe they have some blank stares that look very inhuman, but they still look great. Overall, the graphics in Blacklist are fantastic. I do believe so, yes I do. But now let us talk about the gameplay, which Splinter Cell Blacklist is still an action/stealth game like its predecessor, Conviction. I for one thought Conviction was the best Splinter Cell game yet, and this game just builds on the gameplay I loved from Conviction. Each mission in the campaign has you globe-trotting to many different countries, states, and whatnot. Before you head into a mission though, you can suit up with a wide variety of different gadgets, weapons, suits, and goggles to wear. You can acquire more equipment later on by getting money from specific objectives in the missions or by completing each of the missions. The gameplay for the most part allows you to decide what you want to do. Do you want to go in guns a-blazing with an AK-47? Do you want to sneak your way through and take out anyone that is in your way with stealth kills? Or do you want to do a mixture of both of them? There are times where the game will force you to do one or the other, but for most of the game you do have a decision on what you want to do. Now I found the gunplay alone to be kinda muddled, unfulfilling, and not all that fun to do, but I also hate just waiting for people to walk away from me so I can sneak by, so I decided to do a mixture of the two. I would sneak up on a few of them, take them out, go guns a-blazing, and then run back into the shadows like I was Batman or Predator, or a mixture of the two. Predaman, that's me. Also, the return of the marking system from Conviction adds tons of memorable moments to the gameplay. If you don't know, the marking system is the ability to target 3 specific enemies in the environment, mark them, and then press a button to watch Sam Fisher execute them with his gun. The marking system is still one of the biggest highlights of the newer Splinter Cell games, and I always look forward to using it. Besides just the weapons and Sam's own fighting technique, he can also use gadgets. These are pretty familiar to Splinter Cell, like sticky cameras, flash grenades, and noisemakers, with the exception of a couple of new gadgets that you do get in this game. Now, while most of these are very familiar and you've used these before, what helps is that mixing the combat, stealth, and the use of these gadgets together offers some really fun moments. Being able to lure someone with a noisemaker while you're waiting on top of a roof, just getting ready to pounce on them right when they get near, is so much fun. It makes me feel like Predator Man. Yeah, I brought it back, a whole minute after I made it up. Now, all of this stuff wouldn't mean anything if the controls were not really good, and luckily the controls are extremely responsive and perfect for an action stealth game like this. Moving around is fluid. Being able to climb up stuff like Ezio from Assassin's Creed is a welcome new addition, and all of the objects that are placed on the buttons make sense. It's actually easy to navigate to a different gadget that you want to use and then just use it. Now, the campaign overall will take you anywhere from 8 to 10 hours to complete, and you'll have a great time with the wide variety of different locations you will go to. The gunplay isn't the best, and they could have added more new gadgets, but it's still the Splinter Cell we come to expect. But that's not it. You also have the co-op missions in the campaign that are actually side missions to the story of the game. So this isn't like the co-op section of Conviction where it was a completely different story. You can either bring a friend or unknown into your game and try it and sneak or kill through each mission. I did notice that these missions are way tougher than the regular ones and are way more linear, which can lead to frustration and even boredom. But the big thing that returns finally is Spies vs. Mercs, which is a competitive multiplayer mode that was in the second, third, and fourth game, but not in Conviction for some reason. I'm not sure why. It makes its return here, and oh boy is it awesome. Playing as the spy is pretty much the same as playing as Sam Fisher. You get a couple of gadgets to use, an automatic takedown button to take out foes, and the ability to climb up into vents on pipes and other assorted objects in each environment. Playing as the mercenary turns into a completely different game, a first-person shooter, but it's always intense because you never know when one of the spies are going to just drop down and attack. When playing against experienced players, this game mode can get really intense on both sides. Spies vs. Mercs makes up for the frustrating co-op missions, and the combination of this and the solid campaign makes me recommend Splinter Cell Blacklist to anyone. A great story, solid acting, gorgeous visuals, and a ton of different ways to complete your missions. Go out and buy Blacklist now if you haven't already. There is my review. Thank you and goodbye.